Morning. So this video is going to go over the simulation that is balancing equations. So questions 1 through 4 is asking you to look at this equation. So N2 plus H2 ends up yielding ammonia, what we would call ammonia, so NH3. And so the question says if you were to weigh each of these, this side, the reactants, and the product sides, do you think they would weigh the same? Well, what you're looking at is how many elements or how many molecules there are of the N's, the nitrogens, and the H's. Because remember that the law of conservation of mass says that both sides of an equation, so what you start with, the reactants, has to equal what you end up with. So in this case, if we started with 2 nitrogens on this side, we have to end up with 2 nitrogens on the product side. So you need to look at this and see, well, is there equal numbers of nitrogens on both sides, or are there equal numbers of hydrogens on both sides? So then it asks you to count them. So how many nitrogens appear on the reactant site? So count how many nitrogens there are. How many hydrogens appear on the reactant side? How many appear on the product side? So this will give you an idea of whether or not they're balanced, whether there's the equal numbers of nitrogen on the reactant side and equal number of hydrogens on the reactant and product side. And so question 4 then is just asking you again to explain whether or not this meets the law of conservation or energy. If you have the same numbers of nitrogens and hydrogens, then it would. And if you don't, then it wouldn't. So those are questions 1 through 4. So question 5 says, go to this website. This is what you're going to pull up on the website. Go up in the top screen under tools, click on the balance. And then at the bottom of the screen, use the arrows and add one of each substances to the equation. So you're going to add 1 here, you're going to add 1 here, you're going to add 1 here. Okay? Then it's just asking you which side of the reactant needs more nitrogens. So nitrogens, there's 2 here, but there's only 1 here on the product side. So this side represents the reactants. There's 2 nitrogens. This side represents the product. There's only 1 nitrogen. So which side needs to have more nitrogens added in order to balance the equation? So, and then it says, without going back to 0, what can you change so the number of nitrogens on both sides of the equation is the same? So what are you going to have to do? Well, you're going to have to add a nitrogen here. And now we have a balanced amount of nitrogens. And then it asks you to do the same thing with the hydrogens. Are there equal numbers? Well, obviously there's not. So what are you going to have to do in order, play with this number in order to even out how many hydrogens? And eventually you're going to change these coefficients so that there's even numbers of nitrogens on each side and even number of hydrogens on each side. So you can lower, or you can't really lower, but you can move these numbers up in order to figure out what it is that you need. Okay? So that's question 7 and 8. When the equation is balanced, the smiley face will occur. So when you get this all balanced, then it'll let you know. And then number 10 is explains when we balance the equation, we place large numbers called coefficients. That's these numbers right here in front of each formula. So, and then it's just asking you, did the simulation allow you to change the coefficients? Yes or no? Did the simulation allow you to change the subscripts? That's these numbers here, the small 2 under the nitrogen here, the small 2 here, and the 3 here. Yes or no? And then you're going to go to the game. So you can reset it and go to down here at the bottom where it says game. And then you're just going to play the games and you're going to do the same things, right? You got 2 hydrogens here, 2 fluorines here. You have 1 hydrogen here, 1 fluorine here. What needs to change in order to make sure that you have the same number of hydrogens and the same number of fluorines? And so you're going to move the numbers, okay? And it'll give you information, right? So that you can double check your work at any time. So then you can check your work. And if you're not balanced, it'll show why. And so when you go through the different levels, pick one example to write down in the level 1, level 2, and level 3 boxes. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you're still confused, let me know and maybe we can Zoom about it.